Hey, Brent Porcio, TopVelocity.net. This is another at TopVelocity hashtag pitch and tip show, our version 2, where we answer your questions. So if you have a question, post it below here. We'd love to answer it. Also to subscribe and follow us. And this episode has been brought to you by Hot Pockets because Alex told us to say that. So let's take our first question here. We got one from Henry. Been here before. He's one of our top V guys. He asked, how would high degrees of hip retroversion or anteversion affect the back leg during the load? Would you recommend a different style based on different anatomy? So I don't really look at biomechanical efficiencies in the delivery as really style. It's really looking at kind of a collective best movement, our best process through the kinetic chain based on the physics that we've found to correlate to effective movements. I think style comes into play when you're trying to change something, to make something unique that might not even be effective. It's more anecdotal. It might not be effective, but you kind of like the uniqueness of it, the difference of it. Maybe it lends more to deception to the hitter than just the more than it being a real benefit to the process. So let's take style out of it. But does retroversion or anteversion affect the positioning of the back leg femur when trying to drive the pelvis? And it will, because what this means is, so if this is my femur and my femur head, some guys that are gonna have their femurs a little bit more tipped forward or a little bit more rotated back in the anatomy. So if they're, say, more rotated back, their femur, maybe more externally rotated, they're gonna have a harder time getting into the internal rotated positions or vice versa. So at the end of the day, we all have challenges in the kinetic chain. You're just gonna be someone more challenged on one side of rotation of the hip or the femur as to another side. So you're just gonna have to work harder than someone else in those positions to try to see what you can get. Yeah, but you might be limited. And we say it all the time, like we know the elite ranges of the joints. Like the ankle, an elite range would be 25 degrees of dorsiflexion. Most people aren't gonna get that, but you're gonna get better than where you are. So it doesn't mean because you'll never get the elite range that you shouldn't try to get better or you should try some different style. No, what it means is you're gonna just still try to do your best to overcome your weaknesses, remove as much of the restriction as you can, and knowing that it's still gonna be better than where you are. And if you get to that point where maybe there's a little overcompensation that you find beneficial, I mean, that's something I would really wanna test out myself and get a lot of people that are experts around it to make a decision if this is the best approach or is this gonna lead to injury. Because at the end of the day, overcompensation in the kinetic chain is injury. And you could call it style if you want, but overcompensation potentially can create more wear and tear. So yeah, if you have challenges in your anatomy and how your body was built and stuff like that, you're just gonna have to work harder and get more creative and better and more focused on your problem. And that's my answer to that question. Next question is, hey, just wondering, what exactly is the Olympic lifting? Is Olympic lifting and why should I do it? This is a really good question. Most people don't know what the Olympic lifts are. There's 2 of them we do in competition, and then there's variations of that. So the 2 we do in competition is the clean and jerk, so basically up to the upper rib cage and above the head, and then the snatch, straight to overhead. We typically don't do the snatch initially. It's something that you could advance to way down the road because it takes a lot of upper body strength, and pitchers typically have weak shoulders, unfortunately. Why do they have weak shoulders? Because they throw a lot. And throwing, unfortunately, can weaken the shoulder over time. So we stick to the clean and jerk variations mainly. Like I said, we do eventually get the snatch variations, but mainly the clean and jerk variations. Clean pulls, power cleans, hang cleans, below the knee cleans, 2 position cleans, top to bottoms, jerks, power jerks, split jerks, all these important variations that are great dynamic lifts. So at the end of the day, why do we do Olympic lifts, right? Is it for power? What's it for? Well, of course it's for power, but it's more important that it's helping not only your body express power, enhance power, but helping your central nervous system better organize your movements to find the leverage points where you really can peak your power. So it's that central nervous system upgrade of coordination and movement. And that's why it's a more athletic way to train in the weight room, and therefore those things that you're developing, like the improvements in the central nervous system, the coordination of the movements, and the ability to maximize power, those things are really, really core components of elite throwers that we can enhance in a weight room and translate it over to pitching. And it's hard to find alternatives to that. Yeah, you can go out and find something that develops power or maybe something that works on your coordination, but both of them together to help you ultimately express high amounts of force production in a quick, short amount of time, you can't beat that. The problem is, it's like power lifts. We do power lifts, but the problem is power lifts don't force a high demand of speed. So therefore, when it comes to you getting to your peak forces, if you looked at a bell curve, you getting to your peak forces, say in a deadlift, it probably is taking too long till you hit your peak forces, because when we're in a skill like throwing and hitting, you're less than 1 second where you got to peak your forces. So if in a deadlift I'm getting there, you know, closer to the second, then it means at the point of the skill, I might be halfway in the force production process of the time I take to develop it in a deadlift. So I'm not really using the end of the curve there when it comes to hitting the peaks. That's why I need something like an Olympic lift or the clean variations to force the expression of my peak forces in a shorter amount of time, so it creates a bigger impulse, a tighter impulse to your peaks, which will better translate to the power movements of the skill, because it's putting in the same amount of time it takes. So I know it's a lot to say, but guys, Olympic lifting is by far the better lifts when it comes to enhancing the kinetic chain to be more efficient and more explosive in those short amount of times that we hit, throw, and even jump and run. So that was great questions. If you have a question, post it below. We'd love to answer your questions. Follow us, like us, subscribe to us, and we'll see you next time.